Well, good morning everybody, or good afternoon, or good evening whenever you're watching this. I'm here with my fat friend here. No, it's not Lloyd, it's Father Christmas. I'm going to discuss how the Jehovah's Witnesses banned Christmas in 1973. Of course, lots of you will be crying out saying, what are you on about? They never banned it in 1973. But for me, it was banned in 1973. Christmas, a lot of people don't like Christmas, a lot of people don't like this time of year for various different reasons, which I perfectly understand. Obviously people who've lost people who are normally there at Christmas, and it's now such a sad occasion for them. There are other people who are going to be fearing the worst because of maybe problems within the family threshold or their partner, and there are other people who never ever celebrated Christmas because they were Jehovah's Witnesses. They've subsequently left Jehovah's Witnesses and never ever got Christmas as a child, and so these days, even for their own children, they've never done Christmas because for them it was an event which they held in such disdain and dislike that it's hard, once they leave the organisation, to take away that upbringing of resenting everything about Christmas. However, I was different. I was actually brought up not as a Jehovah's Witness. That event didn't occur later on in my life, and so for the first 10 years of my life I did actually celebrate Christmas with the family, and I really did believe in a guy called Father Christmas or Santa Claus, or Little Saint Nick as he may be known in other parts of the world. And I can actually remember when I still believed in Father Christmas, because one day in the early hours of Christmas Day, I woke up to find my mum at the bottom of her bed. Now calm down at this part of the story. And I think I was at the time, I might have been 8 or 9, I'm not too sure. And in our house, Christmas back then was a lot more of a modest affair than it is today. We had quite a smallish tree which was on something called a sideboard. Google it for those who don't know what a sideboard is. And it had static coloured lights on them, and there was clearly no room to put any presents under the tree. And so what my mother and father did is cunningly hid them building up to Christmas, and then not hung them from a stocking on our fire surround, because we were in a central heated house and we didn't have a fireplace. That was certainly to change when I moved to our previous property, where I had fireplaces all over the shop. And so no, we didn't have stockings hanging on the fireplace because we didn't have a fireplace. So what my mum and dad did is they used to put the presents in pillowcases. And I woke up to find my mum at the bottom of my bed, rooting around in my pillowcase, and I just said, "Mum, what are you doing?" And she quickly turned around, as quick as you like, and said, "Oh, Santa's just been and he's put the wrong presents in the wrong pillowcase, because my brother was just the other side of me, so well done on that one." And I really did believe it. And if you're now laughing and chuckling away thinking, oh dear, how could you believe in this guy here? Well, of course, there are billions of people out there who believe in an invisible guy none of them have ever seen, who apparently is a loving God, who day by day watches as children are blown to pieces in Gaza. So I'd rather believe in this guy than the guy that billions of people believe in, who I don't believe in at all. Anyway, slightly went through a curveball in with that one. But anyway, getting back to Christmas. So, Christmas for us was a family event. Christmas Day, my father always went and drove us around to see his side of the family. They never ever came and visited us. I can't remember any relationship between my father's family, who didn't live that far away. Never saw them. And I remember one particular Christmas we went and saw my granddad and grandma while my grandma was still alive. And we weren't even allowed in the front room. This is back in the days where you had the front room and the back room. And your front room was your showpiece room, and your back room is like tradesman entrance. And we were just like, straight away, front door. There you go. There's a couple of presents, crack on. While my father and his brother and other people had a wee drink and chatted. Clearly my grandparents on this side weren't particularly bothered with the grandchildren, and that's how I always felt. I grew up feeling that way. And I think it's either me or my brother, might have been me, broke the sort of cheapo toy that they gave us, and I remember sheepishly going up to the door trying to get it fixed, because you want an adult to fix your broken toy. Chapped the door and said, and they're all laughing, and Dad, can you come look at this?" Came in and he went pure ape shit. Even though previously anything like plastic, he always referred to Hong Kong rubbish. Anyway, so that was that one. But on my mother's side, we did more stuff as a family, and we often went there on New Year's Eve. And also back to ours. I can remember some fantastic times. My grandparents on my mother's side always made a fuss of us, always had presents for us. And we also got to, back in those days, there was something called working men's clubs. They don't really exist these days much. And my grandparents were members of various working men's clubs because they did like a drink or five, and we got invited to many of the working men's Christmas parties. So there was like, oh, Wednesday night you go to this one, Thursday night you go to that one. So there was always numerous presents given. You always felt a great big build up to Christmas, even at school. Great big build up to Christmas. The very last day of Christmas, it was a day when you went in and people took games, so nobody played anything, and we built lots of decorations. Like I said, decorations back then were more a modest affair. These days, you know, you end up, people's houses do look like Blackpool illuminations, if you know what I'm talking about. But back then, ours were, apart from our wee tree, we did have some tinsel hanging up and things that we'd made from home. My mum did buy these sort of coloured bits of paper which you lit, put them together making a hoop, and then you did another one and made a hoop until eventually you had a long hoop like that. I don't even know whether they even make those anymore. But at school we actually made our own Christmas decorations, and remarkably, you ain't going to believe this, but one of them still survives to this day. So this, hello, you two know each other, and this is a Santa that I made to hang from our tree. Unfortunately, his little string's gone. Like most of his hair, a bit like me, and he has a beard. Oh dear me! And now he could become a Jehovah's Witness, a bit like him. So here we go. Here's Santa. There's a little bit. Oh, do you ever remember this? Where I've drawn his belt, and I don't know if you can still see it, but on his belt is some glitter. Who didn't like running a run of glue and sprinkling the glitter on, and then picking up wherever you're gluing and banging it down, and then remarkably wherever you'd put the glue, the glitter stayed intact. And I've actually not really looked at this for a long time. It comes out as part of our whole massive decorations that we put on our Christmas tree, and this guy comes out every year. And I've never noticed before that glitter's still on. I made this when I was about 8 or 9. So this guy here is about 52 years of age. And he's still with us. Well, some of it, he's lost an arm somewhere. That'll struggle to get down the chimney in that one, and a few other arms are a wee bit bent, but there you go. And he goes on our tree every year, this Santa, along with the decorations that my son made when he was 8 or 9. So there you go, still with us, but it'll probably last longer than me, that one. So we'll put him back. There we go, put him back on the tree later on. And we made cards for the family. And in the junior school that was in, and when I say junior school, where I lived in England, you went to a junior school from about the age of 6 to 10. About 4 or 5 years, which is probably the best time I ever had as in my education. And we built a post box, and everybody put their own letters to all the pupils in it. And I remember the very last Christmas I did in 1972, that all the letters on the very last day got emptied out, and there's for you, and this is for you, and everybody got a letter. And I looked around, and this sort of obese guy, not Santa, he never got a letter. His name is David Leopard, and I felt really sorry for him, so I quickly went back and, to David, Happy Christmas. And I went up and said, "Oh David, I think this one dropped on the phone." He said, "I just saw you writing it." And so it didn't really cheer him up at all, actually. However, David Leopard was the first guy I knew to get a car. He got a good job quite quickly, an apprentice, got his own car. He was the first person I knew who became a driver and got his own car. So the moral of that story is, if you want to become an apprentice, get a car early, make sure nobody at school gives you a Christmas card. And I even built my own little post box at home, so that when letters came through the door, they fell into the post box, so you could put letters in that way as well. That's how much I was into it. And so that was Christmas. Loved it year after year. Watched the programs back then in the late 60s, early 70s. Christmas was more an experience that everybody in Britain experienced, unlike in America, because in Britain we only had 3 TV channels, and VCRs didn't exist. Google VCR. And so as a result, we all, as families, watched all the Christmas specials, Morecambe and Wise, The Generation Game, Doctor Who, blah, 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 blah. We all watched them at the same time, so it was a collective experience as families all across the UK sat down and enough watched the same programmes. So when you went back to school, you were pretty certain that most of the kids had experienced whatever we watched at the same time, so we could recount our Christmas viewing experience as well as what presents that we got. And that was it, a fabulous, fabulous time. I grew up apart, unfortunately, from my last Christmas, to quote a Wham song, the last Christmas 1972. My father was brought up in the I don't know, he was a victim of his generation or whatever, but it was a working class environment, whereupon you blew a lot of your wages in the pub. And Christmas Day, no different. He, I think, went to the pub as soon as it opened, and these are the days back in the days where either cars didn't have seatbelts, or if they did have seatbelts, it wasn't compulsory, and nobody ever won them. And he went away to the pub, and I've just thought of one more anecdote referring to school Christmas. We had this Christmas dance, and I remember the school cooks announced when we were having our Christmas dinner and our Christmas pudding, in the Christmas pudding, that they'd put a few threepenny bits. So obviously this is pre-decimalisation, and most of you out there are going to know what in the world is a threepenny bit. Well, it was like, it was a coin that was a brown in colour, if I remember it rightly, and it was had sort of it was like a 50p piece. It wasn't round, and the cooks put it into various different Christmas thingy pudding that we all ate. And if you think about that today, would you deliberately put something in somebody's child's food which potentially that they could choke on? Bizarre. Health and safety obviously didn't exist in the late 60s, early 70s, but there you go. Anyway, getting back to my dad going to the pub. So and literally the pub he went to is called the Woodies in Ellesmere Port. From our house, we're talking 15 minute walk, but no. He wasn't going to walk, so he drove there. And he came back and he was completely intoxicated. Now, obviously something happened, or something went down with my mum and dad. I don't know what happened. But anyway, he sort of angrily got into the car to then drive me, and I don't remember my brother being in the car, to go and see my uncle where my grandfather was at that time, because he was up there for Christmas because my grandma had died. And he got in the car and he was clearly angry and he was clearly intoxicated, and we could have walked there. No, it was a bit of a walk, to be honest with you. And we drove there, and I remember when he drove into my uncle's road, he managed to hit the road sign with the left-hand side of his car, drove round, completely miscalculated because he was drunk, and hit the road sign. And I was really scared because my dad, even when he was sober, used to like to drive very, very fast, and I used to be shitting bricks every time I got in the car with him, because I always imagined that it could be me and my bike around the corner, that potentially somebody like me is going to kill. So anyway, we got him, and my granddad, as usual, gave him a whole big box of duty-free fags. Well done, Grandad. And then we went home. And I do remember going home. I don't know whether my dad then went back to the pub or had some drinks with my granddad, but he was clearly getting even more intoxicated. And when we went back, an argument ensued. And I looked in the kitchen where obviously the chicken was, where they're about to carve it. And my dad is holding up the knife that was shortly after to be used to carve the chicken. And he's pointing it about that far from my mum. And all I hear him saying was, just you tried. I don't know what that was about. And my mum, being very frightened, shouting out, Terry, go and get Uncle Tom. And Uncle Tom lived next door. No, he didn't live in a cabin. And Uncle Tom lived next door. And basically back then, if anybody was the same as your parents, even though you weren't related, we called them Uncle and Aunt. So he was Uncle Tom, even though he was just our next door neighbour. And then my dad then put down the knife and sort of went away laughing and sneering. And it wasn't, to be honest with you, the best atmosphere to then have your Christmas dinner, as my dad then reverted it to being the fatherly figure at Christmas Day by curving up the chicken, saying, do you want any more, boys, using the same knife that previously I'd seen him, sort of doing that to me mum. So that was that. And so my last memory of Christmas has slightly been ruined, well, totally been ruined by that. But up to then, it had been quite good. Hadn't it, Santa? Yes, it had. So anyway, Then my mum, I think at the time, was studying with Jehovah's Witnesses, and by 1973 she'd announced that as we were all going along by this time, that she was fully conversant. She had got baptised, I believe, in 73, and we were no longer going to do Christmas or birthdays because, of course, as we know Santa, they are all deemed to be pagan. It's ironic, isn't it, that Jehovah's Witnesses have gone now back to believing something which they found unacceptable over the past few decades in relation to beards, when Charles D. Russell and the early brethren had beards. But of course we know there are pictures showing in the early days of the Bethel that everybody was having their Christmas dinner and there were decorations up, so who knows, maybe Santa and Christmas dinner will be back on the menu in 2025. Who knows? So anyway, my mum had told us that we were no longer celebrating Christmas, and of course this was 73. And no wonder, my mother wanted to protect her boys. And of course in 1975 the phrase was, don't get fried in 75. Because of course in 1975 we were all expecting, all the Jehovah's Witnesses, for quite build up to that time, that Armageddon was going to come in 1975. So you didn't want to really be burnt to death because God had remembered that you'd put up a Christmas tree the year before or the year before that, full well knowing that it was a pagan festival. So Christmas was cancelled in 1973 for us. And I remember around about the time that walking down the road from school, it was like Christmas, you see all the decorations, all the Christmas trees, because Christmas trees normally right in front of everybody's window. So it's Christmas, Christmas, Christmas coming up to our house, Christmas, Christmas, Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, if I was my dad, I would have said, well, stuff you, I'm not interested in this whole witness thing, it's a complete lot of crock of shit, and Armageddon's not going to come in 1975. And he would be right. I would have still continued, yes I would have Santa, I would have still continued to celebrate Christmas. I would have still continued to put up the tree, buy presents for the boys, because I think by this time in 73 I was 11, my brother was 10, or was he 9? Yeah, it was just, I think he turned 10 on January the 3rd, so my brother, I think at that time, was 9, and I think I would have still done that. But my father, I think about this time, he was decided family life wasn't for him anymore. And by 1977 he'd fucked off completely. But by 1973 he was still a presence in the house sometimes. And we never had Christmas, that was it. And I was now in the bigger school. And of course we didn't do the things that there wasn't writing each other, because in the big school, so we never wrote each other Christmas cards. We didn't have the school Christmas dinner. I don't remember it. And we certainly didn't have postbox. They probably, where people putting letters after being kicked off the wall by some of the twats who went to my school. And we certainly didn't play games on the last day of school. Probably, I can't remember what happened. But anyway, Christmas in the big school was a non-event for me. And so it sort of disappeared. So 1973 was a non-event. But I still felt so guilty that my father didn't have a present on Christmas Day, that I saved up my pocket money and I bought Brute aftershave, ironic, and I gave it him on Christmas Day because I thought I don't want my dad on the 25th of December to wake up and there's nothing for him. So I said, there you go, Dad, I bought you a wee present, because I wasn't afraid of not getting fried in 75, and my dad didn't buy us anything, and that was so the last present I ever got from my father was in 1972. So there you go. It's been a while. Even though I go and see my dad now over the past 10 years, every Boxing Day. I go and see him. And now he actually does buy me a present, so I'm talking absolute bollocks. When I go down now, I usually get a litre of vodka or something from him, after a gap of many, many years. And that was it. And I remember my cousin actually came up, who wasn't a witness, he came up on Christmas Day to give me and my brother Christmas presents. I don't know why it had to twig them that we weren't playing with presents, there was no Christmas tree. I don't know why my mum had to tell her older sister, by the way, we don't do Christmas anymore. So of course he went away with no reciprocal, there's a present for you, Darren. Then he turned up on Boxing Day. And he came in and still no present for Darren. And I felt really embarrassed. And he said, you did get him a Christmas present, didn't you? I said, yeah. And I felt so embarrassed for him. In fact, I remember the very first time it was his birthday. And me and him had birthdays at similar time. And the very first time, my birthday was a few days before him. He bought me a birthday gift when nobody else did, and I just felt so guilty that I had a book about football which somebody else had bought for me, and I gave it to him as a birthday present because I felt so guilty that he'd bought us a birthday present and that I wasn't giving him one. And that was it. That was Christmas was officially cancelled in 1973 for me, and so that was it for years and years and years, until I left the witnesses January the 1st, 2000. On the 31st December 1999, I decided this is complete, utter bollocks. I can't go back to this anymore. And decided new year, new life. So January the 1st, never did it again. So when it came to December of 2000, I am like, right. I was like, okay. How would you celebrate Christmas? I wasn't too sure how to celebrate Christmas, and I really wasn't too sure. And I'm sure the 2001 was the first one I did. It might have been 2001. I can't remember. If the millennial was 2000, I can't remember, but I think it was 2000. Let's say it was 2000. I'm pretty sure it was. And I wasn't too sure how to celebrate Christmas, so I went out and thought, right, what do you do? I've never celebrated as an adult, and my son was like 1.5 at the time. And I thought, right, okay. I went and bought out a real Christmas tree. Fantastic, real Christmas tree. Put all the lights, decorations on it. 2 weeks later, it was dead. I'm sure I was watering it properly, but every morning there was bristles on the floor, thinking, this is shit. So I went out and bought a fake tree, nearly as tall as the old tree. And that tree has been with us now, so we've had it since, 2000. So we're on to 2023 now, it's 23 years, and it's still fantastic. Yeah, so that's it. And so that was it. So I can understand why a lot of people don't get Christmas, don't celebrate it, but I had 28 years of not celebrating Christmas to make up for. And in our previous house, which is on 3 levels, I literally went to town every year. Decorations. By the time we left, every window had been decorated. Every window, front and back, and we had a lot of windows. And literally our house did look like Blackpool Illuminations. And when I drive past our house now, it looks so sad when I see it now. And I don't know if I told this story before, when I moved to our present house, and our neighbour, the person who owns next door, doesn't live there. She owns it. She owns an awful lot around here. And I said to her, I says, where did you come from? And I told her where we came from. She says, well, like your decorations you put up this year. And I says, yes. I says, should have seen our last house. And she went, I know exactly which house is yours, because within the area, our house, you could see it before, you could see the light illuminating you could see it from Google Earth. It was fantastic. Sadly, our house at the moment, although we do have a back garden here, nobody else can see into it apart from us, and the front garden belongs to the arsehole below us, so I don't really bother doing outdoor stuff anymore. I did a bit last year, but I just thought no, and unravelling those lights, and often they were fucked anyway, although of course we have this inflatable Christmas tree Santa and the snowman, who's still looking loud and proud over there at the moment, so that's due to my wife's doing. So anyway, that's it. That's all I have to say. Hold on a second. Lloyd's done a video last night on beards. Really? Yeah, it is late to the game and very relevant. When everybody else is doing videos about beards, when the news first broke, to show how off the radar he now is, he's just uploaded last night. By this time, even probably Jehovah's Witnesses, even before the letter's been announced already, know about that beards are back, like this lovely beard here. So yeah, just proving that he's getting even more irrelevant these days. So anyway, this is it. This is me and Santa obviously saying goodbye to you all. I hope that if you are celebrating Christmas, that you have a wonderful time this year. If you've not celebrated Christmas before and you're feeling guilty about it because you've just left Jehovah's Witnesses, please don't feel guilty about it, because you're just literally you're literally still suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder of not celebrating for years, and your upbringing is affecting the way you are. So if you've left Jehovah's Witnesses, you know, don't feel guilty about celebrating Christmas, and come and join the Christmas club. Come and join the Christmas club. That's it. Goodbye. Hope that Santa is good to you on the 25th. Have I been a good boy? It's questionable. So hopefully Santa's been good to you on the 25th, and you'll get what you desire. More important than anything, it's not all about the presents. It's great to have the lights. It's great to have the lights that illuminate quite a dark period, if you especially live where we live, where it's dark at 3:30, and we've had yet another horrible storm during the night. And seeing everybody make an effort, you know, putting lights in the garden, it does cheer me up, and I think it's a lot better than the darkness that is before Christmas and of course after Christmas when all the lights come down. However, the most important thing about Christmas is that you can somehow be close to all those that you love. And this year, of course, my son is back, because last year there was a gaping hole, there was an empty plate, a missing plate on the table at Christmas Day, and it was a little bit shit, to be honest with you, but my son's back this year, and so we're going to make the most of it. So anyway, make the most of it, everybody, and I'll speak to you after Christmas, and I'll show you what Santa brought me down the chimney, even though he'll have a job at this house, won't you, Santa? Because this chimney got blocked up, bastards. Anyway, see you later. Oh, one last thing. Round about maybe 10 years ago, or 8 years ago, I wrote a Christmas song called It's Christmas. It's on my Always Away YouTube channel. It has had moderate views. I play it every year to probably depress myself, because it's a bit of a melancholy song. However, it is a good song. And if I say so myself, and I'm actually playing it live, it's not pre-recorded, it's actually me. I'd just written the lyrics, written the tune, and I just thought I'll do it now. I've never recorded it since. So if you want to cheer yourself up, maybe not, if you want to just give it a play, it has a moderate view. I think it's about 7,500 views over the past 8 years, but I'll put a link in the comments box so you can only all click on and also agree with me that is a fabulous Christmas song, one of the greatest Christmas songs ever written, and was still not properly recorded. But anyway, have a happy Christmas. This is it. I finally said everything I wanted to say, and yeah, I hope you all have a wonderful Christmas, for all who still celebrate it, and if you don't, celebrate it. Bye bye.